Am I the antagonist for refusing to help my parents financially? My parents hate my job and always called it playing on the computer. I'm a UI developer, and I'm also a woman, so they consider it an inappropriate industry for me. My brother works as a teller at the bank, which they brag about to their friends as their son is a banker. I've always done better than my brother in school, sports, etc., but my parents always see him as better because he's a boy. So I've reduced my contact, especially since they are getting pushy with me for not being married at 27. Last year, my father lost his job due to a round of layoffs and then suffered a ton of health problems. My mother has never worked and can't speak very good English, so she isn't able to work. And their house isn't paid off, so now they are at risk of losing their house. They've had to ask my brother for rent, and he pays about $400 a month. But their mortgage and other expenses comes to be around $1,800 a month, and they can't afford it. So they've asked me for help, and I've told them no. I can afford it, I make six figures, but I'm still bitter about being treated like a second-class citizen since I was a child because I'm a girl. I told them to charge my brother more for rent, and they told me he has a GF and needs to be able to enjoy himself. Furthermore, I told them they can figure out their own way to pay for it, and they are pissed because they think I need to help them because they raised me. He has a girlfriend, so he can't pay rent? Okay, well then they are choosing this. That is solely on them. Tell them you wouldn't feel right having money from a job they don't approve of paying their bills. Am I the antagonist for spending my dead, estranged father's money? My dad and I had a very bad, toxic relationship. When I, 31 female, was 20, I told him that I never wanted to have contact with him again. I haven't spoken to him since. He died unexpectedly a few months ago at age 56. My dad was always a bit of a slacker, and it turns out he slacked off in writing his will/managing his post-mortem finance plans. Basically, I was listed as the only inheritor of almost all of his stuff. I had no idea about this until he died. But I probably wasn't supposed to get all his money because he made it clear that he despised me. My dad had a very close relationship with his brother, my uncle, and his niece, my cousin, 24 female. Apparently, he had made comments to them about how they were his only family, someday his nice house would be theirs, and so on. When my dad died, my cousin reached out to me and explained that there had been a mistake in his legal situation, and his money was supposed to go to them. She showed me tons of pictures on her phone of her family spending time with him as proof that they had a closer relationship. Admittedly, the money should have gone to them. But it didn't. It went to me. So I told my cousin that it wasn't my fault the money had come to me, and I wasn't about to give her any of it just because she was buddies with my cruel dad. I have already made plans for how I want to spend a significant portion of the money. I've paid off my student loans, I'm going to buy a house, and I bought a new car, nothing too fancy, just something nice. My cousin texted me recently telling me that I was vile for spending the money of a man I hated, a man she loved. I told her that I was sorry for her loss, but it was rightfully my money. I don't feel bad for spending a cent of it. Furthermore, I've talked to plenty of lawyers, and the money is legally mine. But morally, I do think I might be an for spending money that belonged to someone I was estranged from. So, I wanted to ask here, am I the antagonist? If you wanted the money to go to them, it would have. Cut contact and get a lawyer if you feel fit. Enjoy the money, new house, and new car. Am I the antagonist for telling my best friend off for breastfeeding my child? So I, 23 female, just had a baby, and I have decided that I do not want to breastfeed him as it caused too much pain for me, and I don't see anything wrong with being formula fed. I dropped my baby to my best friend's house because I needed to do a few things and decided that it would be easier if the baby wasn't with me. I left him with enough formula to last him the time I would be gone, and I even put enough for an extra bottle just in case he was starving that day. My best friend has also just had a baby, however she is breastfeeding her baby and doesn't agree with my decision to formula feed, but she does not know the reasons. I am not going to do that because it is none of her business, and I feel that if I told her she would end up calling me selfish or something like that. When I came home from doing my things, she told me that she needed to admit something to me. Naturally, I thought that my baby had hurt himself or something, but no, she told me that she felt like my child was being left out when she was breastfeeding her child and decided to let my baby try it. She then told me that he seemed to enjoy it, so continued to breastfeed him instead of the formula I had given her. I am completely upset about this, and when I told her, she told me I was overreacting and that if didn't need to get so angry with her about it, as she thought she was doing a nice thing and thinks that every baby would be breastfed. I talked with my boyfriend about this, and he understands how I feel and that my friend had no right to do that, especially without knowing the reasons behind us deciding not to breastfeed. Furthermore, I haven't spoken to her since, and it's been about a week. Am I the antagonist? You left formula for a reason. The baby should have been fed formula. She violated your trust, and what if your baby had have gotten sick? She can disagree with your choice, but it's your child, not her. Am I the antagonist for telling my mother-in-law my toddler will not be going with her on a vacation she planned without asking? I have an almost 3-year-old beautiful little girl. She's just a few weeks shy of her 3rd birthday. My baby was out in hospice 4 weeks ago after having gone into remission late May. Unfortunately, the cancer has returned, except it is now crushing her optic nerve and is about 8 centimeters long. Multiple doctors recommended we make our daughter as comfortable as possible, as they do not believe removing the tumor is a good option. I have so much to say in regard to her diagnosis, but heartbroken will suffice for now. My husband and I have been making tons of memories with her for the past few weeks. We've included family in some of these memories, but we both feel that we want to spend as much time with our daughter as possible. My mother-in-law called me yesterday to tell me she'd booked tickets/hotel/airfare for a trip next month. I thought it sounded fun until she said she was taking our toddler with her. Just her, my daughter, and her husband. She did not invite my husband and I. My daughter isn't even 3 yet. She has never stayed overnight anywhere, and mother-in-law wants to take her for 1 entire week across the country, alone. I suggested that my husband and I both go that way our daughter is comfortable, and for God's sake, in the event she dies, she can't be gone for a week. Her nurses are here. Her care is here. I suggested, what if we all go for a shorter amount of time? I came up with various suggestions, to which all were turned down. Furthermore, I should add that if my daughter was not in hospice, I still would not be comfortable with our toddler being across the country for a week alone without her parents. My child being in hospice adds another layer of complexity to the situation. I told my mother-in-law that her decisions that she made alone without consulting us was a solid no. She called me a few names and hung up on me. She then called my husband and called me a few names and suggested she would fight for rights before my daughter dies. I'm already grieving. My husband said we should acquiesce to his mother's trip to avoid drama, even though he agrees that our daughter is too young. But I want to spend time with her before the cancer takes her, she's too little, etc. I said no for various reasons, not just to say no. I'm so sorry to hear about your daughter. Life is just unfair sometimes. But onto your mother-in-law, who does she think she is? You already have a limited amount of time left with your daughter, and she wants to take a week of it away. Any 3-year-old is not ready for such a long trip without their parents. You must stand your ground and not let this trip happen. Tell your husband to grow in backbone and say no to his mother. Am I the antagonist for stealing a scholarship I didn't need to impress a girl? This happened this last school year when I was a senior in high school going through the college application process. I had a huge crush on this girl in my friend group since sophomore year, but I never acted on it, since I never felt I was her type personality-wise. She was extremely studious, and while I got good grades, I didn't really take it as seriously as she did. The guys she had crushes on / dated were all the studious, research published in academic journals type guys. This last school year, I saw a chance to impress her in the form of this merit scholarship I heard her talking about. It was $12K based on a writing competition, and I've always been a pretty good writer, so I thought if I won, maybe she'd be impressed. The thing is, I didn't need the money, since I'm fortunate enough to have well-off parents willing to pay for college, but I decided to apply anyhow. I ended up winning, and this did end up catching her attention, but some other people that learned I won got upset that I stole the money from financially disadvantaged people that needed it more. I understand where they were coming from, but there are plenty of scholarship opportunities specifically for low-income or disadvantaged people. This one wasn't. It was a merit scholarship open to all, so I don't see it as wrong or breaking any rules. Further, this was a writing contest in which you were given an hour to write an essay on a specific given day, so I don't think my income gave me an advantage over low-income people. If it considered, for example, extracurriculars or standardized test scores, in which a higher income could buy you better opportunities, SAT prep classes, etc., then I would have an advantage over people with less money. But I don't think income impacts your ability to write well, so I feel regardless of it, I won fair and square on an even playing field. Am I the antagonist? A merit scholarship is just that, based upon merit. But if your goal was to impress a girl, maybe winning and giving away the scholarship could have been more impressive. Having a well-off upbringing does not make an even playing field. It's not just about being able to buy prep classes for the SAT, your whole life has effectively been prep. Am I the antagonist? Roommate is furious I got a camera for my bedroom. I 22F and my roommate, also 22F, have been arguing for a few days because I got a camera for my bedroom. About a week ago, I went on a family vacation and put a camera up in my room so I could check on things while I'm gone. For context, I live in a horrible neighborhood that has had a few shootings this year, and one was just a few weeks ago. My roommate saw the camera before I left and didn't say anything about it, but I saw her looking at it. A few days into my trip, I check my camera and see a video of her walking straight into my room and putting the camera down, so I can only see the ceiling. I call her and ask why she put it down and if she can put it back up. She hangs up on me and doesn't reply to any of my texts. A few hours later, she puts my camera back up. I call her that night and she is mad, saying I was interrupting a work call and that she didn't feel good. I told her I was sorry for interrupting her call, and if she had told me she was on a work call before she hung up abruptly, I wouldn't have been texting her. She also said she was mad I was using a shared camera in my room, which I understood even though she never uses it anyway. So I ordered my own little camera for my room. When it came in the mail, she seemed very weird about it and was asking me to tell her if I have it on in my room. I'm starting to think she is doing something in my room when I'm not here because she is so concerned about my camera. I told her I would never put a camera in a shared space, and I wouldn't care if she got one in her room, and gave her multiple reasons why I wanted a camera in my room. That night I leave to spend the night at a friend's house, and on my way out she asks me if my camera is up. I tell her yes, and she starts freaking out on me, blowing my phone up with texts and calls asking if it records sound and just being super sketchy. She is trying to turn it around on me, saying I don't trust her, and I'm lying about the reasons for my camera. At first the camera had nothing to do with her, and it was just to make me feel safer in my own bedroom. But now I am starting to get worried she is doing something in my room, because I don't see why it is this big of a deal, since she shouldn't really be in my bedroom anyway. She started saying if I want to move out just to be honest, and calling me a liar and all these horrible things, putting words into my mouth. The camera does not record sound, and I told her I would keep my door shut at all times since she is so uncomfortable about it. However, she is still pissed and saying hurtful things to me, as well as talking shit about me to her family and friends. I'm not sure what to do at this point. I honestly didn't really care about having the camera at first, but after seeing her reaction to me having it in my room, I feel I really do need it. Am I the asshole? Go and buy a lock to go with your new camera. This girl is giving off some major red flags and seems very strange. Why should she care what is in your room? It's your room.